Southern Sudan.
We must clearly understand the aspect of a cooperative. A cooperative is a voluntary organization formed by members for the members, and it is democratic. They carry out their own decisions on how to perform. But for me, particularly the Soroti Fruit Factory was initially supposed to assist Soroti fruit growers. So what happens is that the government, in its wisdom, made a partnership. We organized the Soroti fruit growers into a cooperative society. This was an opportunity for them to come together. You produce differently, but you'll be able to market it together.
We are in a race for development with other nations. This UDC is one hell of an ammunition that we can use for our country. So, but we need to oil the ammunition. UDC and government and private sector. Let's get our act together.
We are also the biggest makers of concentrate, orange concentrate and mango pulp in the country. For oranges, we buy Hamolin, Washington Naval, Valencia.
We used to bring it fully from import. Now part of this import we substituted with the Soroti orange. Like that way, and in future also we are, because it is available in good quality fruits, pulps are available now here.
Do take it to Soroti Fruit Factory. I have about 280 trees. Those oranges have enabled me to do so many things. I've educated my children now. Many of them have graduated. I've managed to build my house.
This fruit farm
closed in Kenya. So the money outlay, which was revealed in the Treasury documents, is more than the budget for the Nairobi Southern Bypass or the Nairobi Western Bypass, which cost taxpayers a total of 24.2 billion, 24.5 billion Kenyan shillings respectively. Now, these particular motorists are already paying for toll fees as much as 417 Kenyan shillings to use the road, and the expenditure is set to raise questions of possible double taxation in Nairobi. while the government's financial burden on privately built projects like the 27.4 kilometers highway is expected to be minimal, the report from the Treasury shows that by the end of June last year, it had released a total of 5.93 billion Kenyan shillings for the double-decker road, with the outstanding balance of 18.9 billion to be released later. The Nairobi Expressway, which links Westlands to Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, was built by a Chinese contractor on a public-private partnership model at a total cost of 88 billion Kenyan shillings. Now, Treasury Permanent Secretary Chris Chipto did not respond to the queries on the expenditure, which is higher than the 15.1 billion Kenyan shillings that the former Transport Cabinet Secretary partnership model did at the total cost of 88 billion Kenyan shillings. Now, also, the Treasury Permanent Secretary Chris Chipto apparently did also reveal that government had spent 15.1 billion Kenyan shillings on land compensation and transfer of such utilities such as water pipes, electric lines and poles, plus fiber optics. Now, also on the other hand, the Ministry of Water and Sanitation was one of the beneficiaries of an additional budget allocation on the same highway. This scope of work on the old road involves fixing the draining system, erecting a bus rapid transport system on the road, and fixing pedestrian walkways as well. Now, the design also provides the erecting modern lighting system and recarpeting of the old road. The expenditure of 24.8 billion Kenyan shillings is an addition on to a contingent liability of the multi-billion project that exposes Kenya's government to lawsuits should the project abort before the 27 years that the contractor, the China Road and Bridge Corporation, is expected to be recovering its investments within the period of 27 years. So the Nairobi Expressway is one of the several PPP projects that the government has taken a very keen note on. And of course, the government took out a letter of support covering political risks, and the Chinese firm, which is responsible for the construction of this expressway, is expected to earn an estimated 106.8 billion Kenyan shillings profit for the 27 years in which it will be owning the expressway. So just like you're definitely seeing the Entebbe, the Kampala-Entebbe expressway highway, this particular one, the Nairobi Expressway, will be owned. All the money that will be collected for now in the next 27 years will be heading out to the Chinese firm, which was responsible for constructing it. Then after 27 years, it will be handed over fully to the government. Okay. Now, lastly, from Karibu, East Africa, President Ruto has outlined his regional diplomatic strategies in his first 100, in his first few months as president, first 100 days in office. Dr. Ruto came to power in September last year, largely as an underdog with an unclear foreign policy. Now, on the other hand, his predecessor, Uhuru Kenyatta, had walked up the ladder from an isolated support of crimes against humanity at the International Criminal Court, where Dr. William Ruto was also charged to a darling of the West because of his charisma and charm in addressing regional security and integrational issues. Using a television joint interview with Kenya media at State House, President Ruto spoke passionately about his regional plan. In his first 100 days, President Ruto made a marathon of talks and tours. If you look at that, he toured Ethiopia, Uganda, Tanzania, Egypt, DR Congo, South Sudan, Eritrea, all completing a regional circuit after his swearing in. Then outside the continent, he visited the US and South Korea. He had been to the UK for the Queen's funeral as well. But Dr. William Ruto expressed his intention to have a presence on the regional front, saying that the presence of Kenyan troops in the DRC, for example, the Eastern DRC, was part of the regional plan to ensure peace there. And he did say that he's in constant conversation with the president of the DRC, Felix Tshisekedi, as Kenya has its own soldiers in the DRC. And apparently, they are supporting the stabilization of the entire EAC region. Uganda, as well as South Sudan, have soldiers to pacify the entire region. So regional peace is a very important component of the East African Community region, according to President William Ruto. Now, the observers, some observers within the region, think that Dr. William Ruto's project or plan may be too soon to call, even though the motivation is clear, rotating around commercial interest. But of course, he has laid down his economic strategies on these are basically diplomatic strategies that will ensure the economic strength and recovery of the East African Community region, rotating, of course, around the largest economy within the region of Kenya. And that is it for Karibu East Africa. Now we're crossing to the SMB international news this particular moment. Well, the European Union last week on Thursday banned the imports of seafood in Cameroon waters. And this has not been good news to the people of Cameroon, as if in any case, fish caught by ships flagged there and is labeled as Cameroonian will not be allowed to the European Union. Labeled, according to the European Union Commission, they apparently labeled Cameroon as a non-cooperating country in the fight against illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. The Commission gave Cameroon a so-called red card and said that European Union member states would turn away from seafood shipments from Cameroon even when it has CAT certificates validated by the national authorities. So Cameroon is one of the 4 non-European Union countries that are currently on the Commission's red card list, alongside Saint Vicente and Grenada, Comoros and Cambodia. The country has in recent years emerged as one of the several countries that offer flags of convenience, where companies can, for a free, register their ships in a nation that has no links to the vessel. Now, last year, the Associated Press investigated 14 vessels registered in Cameroon that had been accused of illegal and unregulated fishing and found that they were owned or managed by companies based in the European Union member states. Now, also on the other hand, the European Commission said illegal, unregulated, and unreported fishing is one of the most serious threats to the sustainable exploitation of living aquatic resources. As the spokesperson of Cameroon's Ministry of Livestock, Fisheries and Industries could not be reached out to comment more on the same matter and on what particular impact this has on to Cameroon's agricultural exports, especially from the line to do with the fishing products and, of course, the fish itself. So, as you can definitely see, Thursday's ban by the Commission comes nearly 2 years after it had urged Cameroon's authorities to step up its action against illegal fishing. So it is actually a two-work situation that has led to this ban. So the European Union Commission estimates as much as 26 tons of fish are caught illegally each year, comprising of about 15% of the world's total catch. Now, illegal, unprotected or unregulated fishing is worth between 10 billion and 20 billion euros each year. So the European Union is apparently working towards eliminating poor fishing methods and illegal fishing, as well as premature fishing, or let's say the premature fish that are on the market and hitting the European Union market. So Cameroonian fishery products have been banned by the European Union Commission, so they will not be in the European Union market until they work towards these particular issues of illegal fishing and reported and unregulated fishing cases that have continuously been able to grow within Cameroon. So that is an update that is surely affecting the Cameroon perspective of the fishing industry from there. But away from that, crossing over to the southern part of the continent, the South African factory activity expanded in December, according to a survey that has been released. So South African manufacturing activity expanded in December. A survey did reveal over the weekend. Now, the Absa Purchasing Managers Index, the PMI, rose to 53.1 points in December from the 52.6 points in November. Now, on the other hand, despite the apparent growth, the underlying picture is even more mixed. Indeed, persistent electricity disruptions, partly due to the breakdown of power stations, have affected Africa's most industrialized economy, according to the official National Statistics Agency, Stat South Africa, load shedding, as it is known locally, was a crucial contributor to the economic contracting by 0.7% in the second quarter of 2022. Now, the PMI index also warned of a high likelihood of global supply chain disruptions due to an uptick in COVID-19 cases in China in the near term. So the index, which was compiled by the Bureau for Economic Research and sponsored by ABSA, is based on the Purchasing Managers Index produced by the American Institute for Supply Management. Now, in the long run, in September last year, South Africa's central bank said the economy was forecast to expand by 1.4% in 2023 alone, if you are to look at that situation. So according to the official National Statistics Agency Stats South Africa, load shedding, as it is known locally, was a crucial contributor to the economy contracting by 0.7% in the second quarter of 2022. And of course, in 2022, we reported some of those particular cases of load shedding in South Africa, which affected most of the businesses. And not only that, load shedding led to some of the strikes from other working unions within some of the South African cities because it was affecting their businesses, and of course, not only businesses, but also looking at the livelihoods of some of those who apparently consume more of the electricity were greatly affected in South Africa. And here you can see it led to a slow contraction of the economy by 0.7%. That is in the second quarter of 2022. So the index, apparently compiled by the Bureau for Economic Research and sponsored by ABSA, is based on the Purchasing Managers Index produced by the American Institute for Supply Management. In September last year, South Africa's central bank said that the economy was forecast to expand by 1.4% in this new year of 2023. So that is it for South Africa's space. And of course, South African factory activity expanded in December, according to the latest survey, which was released over the weekend. Now, lastly, from the SMB International News, we head to the United Kingdom, where the energy giant Shell is set to pay the United Kingdom tax for the first time in 5 years. Shell says that it will pay tax in the United Kingdom for the first time since 2017 after making huge global profits last year. The energy firm said it expected to take a hit of around $2 billion, that is approximately 1.7 billion euros on profits in the UK and the European Union in the final 3 months of this year. So governments have imposed taxes on energy companies to capture some of the massive profits that firms have made through high oil and gas prices. Shell will not disclose at present how much the United Kingdom tax will, or that the UK it will finally pay, or the tax that it will finally pay, but it is understood that the figure could be lower than the forecast at this stage. So the amount of tax oil and gas companies which pay in the UK can be reduced after factoring in losses, investment in areas such as renewable energy or decarbonization of North Sea oil platforms, as well as decommissioning. So at the end of the day, last year, Shell revealed a huge jump in profit, which reached $9.5 billion across its global business between July and September. Not only that, at the time, Shell said that because it had made large investments in the United Kingdom, it had not made a profit in the country and was therefore not required to pay taxes. But when you look at the Friday situation, the company further confirmed that it does not expect to pay some tax in the UK for the first time since 2017. It comes after the government increased tax on the profits made from extracting UK oil and gas. This is according to a policy called the Energy Profits Levy, which is commonly referred to as the windfall tax, from 25% to 35% in November. Well, Shell did not break down how the $2 billion hit to its earnings, though, in the final month of 2022, but apparently it would be split between the UK and the European Union, that $2 billion. So oil and gas prices began to rise after the end of COVID lockdowns, but surged after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, resulting in bumper profits for energy companies, including the likes of Shell and BP in 2019, rather in 2022. So with the households being hit by soaring energy bills, the government came under pressure to help and introduce a windfall tax on the profits of firms to help fund a scheme to restrict gas and electricity bills. Well, oil and gas firms operating in the North Sea are taxed differently to other companies. They pay 30% corporational tax on their profits, as well as a supplementary 10% rate. Now, on top of that, they now pay the windfall tax, taking their total tax rate to 75%. But if you're to continue looking at it, there's been concerns over the flaws in the policy by the United Kingdom. Farms have been able to reduce the amount of tax they pay by factoring in losses or spending on things like decommissioning North Sea oil platforms. And this has meant in the recent years, companies such as BP and Shell have paid little or no tax in the UK. Now, on the other hand, the Energy Profits Levy also has a measure that allows energy companies to apply for tax savings worth 91% of every $1 invested in fossil fuel extraction in the United Kingdom. So as you can definitely see, following that particular huge profit made by the energy firm Shell in the United Kingdom, it has apparently come out to say it will be paying tax for the first time since 2017. That's 5 years in it of not paying taxes because they've been contracting losses. But of course, this 2022 last year apparently provided some good room for profits regarding the situation that led to the crisis. When you follow up on the COVID-19 lockdowns that imposed and hit hard the energy sector. But following the Russia and Ukraine invasion, the sector was roughly hit. But of course, companies managed to make some good profits out of the same situation, because at the end of the day, the energy, or you say fuel and gas prices, shot up. And at the end of the day, making it even more possible for energy firms such as Shell and BP in the UK to make some huge profits. Well, you as an individual can as well make some profits today by investing your money with a minimum of just 15,000 Uganda shillings. You can kickstart off your investment journey with Zabu. Zabu, which is a platform by Altex East Africa, says you can do something new. And something new that you can do, according to Altex East Africa today, is to invest in government bonds. The USSD code is *292#. And of course, to open up an account, you only need your name. And after that, in the next 24 hours, you'll be able to invest in these particular bonds that are available. But well, besides the same situation of investing in bonds that are available, the minimum amount is 15,000 Ugandan shillings. So 15,000 and more is what you can use to invest in. The markets open at 8:15 a.m. for those who have the account already with you, and close at 3:15 p.m. So during that same period is when you are able to invest. These markets close at 3:15 p.m. Monday to Friday. But during the weekend and on public holidays, they are non-functional entirely for 24 hours of those days. Zabu, my money, my future. Also, East Africa, do something new. Well, before I do head into a break, just quickly run onto our social media platforms. Twitter, Smart24 TV. Facebook is Smart24 TV official. Instagram is Smart24_TV. And then pretty much more coming in from our website. If you want updates and of course more business reports, both local and international, the website is www.smart24.tv. And then you can as well link with us on LinkedIn. Well, if you've missed any program, any story, and of course any kind of interview that we've been running on Smart24 TV, rush onto our YouTube channel. That is Smart24 TV Live. Please do remember to subscribe. We are on the road to 2,000 subscribers. On to that one, be part of the ever-growing journey. We drive business here. Smart means business. Let's take a break. I'll be returning in the second hour with more. Stick around. Good morning.
Smart24, driving business.
Say goodbye to paperwork and travel costs. Now every MTN customer can register to invest in securities anytime and anywhere with Zabu in a few simple steps. Step 1. Dial *292#. Step 2. Select option 1. Register with Zabu. Step 3. Enter your full names. Step 4. Enter your national identification number. Step 5. Enter your national identification card number. In 24 hours, you will receive an SMS confirming your registration. Congratulations, you are now ready to invest.
Chinayu chinyumira. Whether it is Katogo, Chikomando, Rolex Majasa to Nyanya Mbisi. Man, wherever I am, I enjoy Chinayu with your TV channels on my phone.
Enjoy a new world of entertainment with over 80 TV and radio channels, plus movies from wherever you are. Download the GOTV Channels app from your app store and enjoy 30 days of free streaming with MTN.
GOTV Channels.
Smart24 Driving Business. Smart24 Driving Business.
Well, good morning. How are you doing? It's another business day, Monday 9th January 2022. Of course, the business world has never slept on any single day. So that means you, as any individual, you should be waking up in the morning. Think about how you're going to kickstart off your investment. Think about how you're going to be getting more customers. Think about how life that you're having currently will shape your life as an individual. Well, besides that same situation, now let's have our business tips and quotes this morning. The business tip is for you to learn something new as you kick start of your day. The quote is to motivate you throughout the business day as you kick start it off. It's a hot January, trust me, but it should not be as hot for your wallets. Be ready to position yourself as well. Let's first get our business tip this morning. The business tip says push for a decision. Maybe is a terrible play. It's not good for you, and it's not good for the customer. You're left unsure if the customer is or will ever be ready to buy, and the customer is in limbo, waiting for a solution. Well, when you know that the prospects have enough information to make a decision, push them to make one. So pushing for a decision is something very vital for you as an individual. So it may not be necessarily something that you should be looking at, but push for a decision. So don't just be having, maybe we shall be able to do this, maybe we shall do the other, maybe. That is, it's like you're living on a kind of, what can I say? You're trying to bet on your own decisions or on the kind of decision you're supposed to take firmly. So don't bet on any decision, just push for one, and then of course decide on what to do for your business immediately. Do not procrastinate at the end of the day. But beside the business tip, let's get our motivation from our business quote this morning. So according to the business quote, logic will get you from A to B. Now, imagination will take you everywhere. Logic will get you from A to B. Imagination will take you everywhere. Have you ever been in that world of imagination where you're thinking that, well, I can do this, I can do that. And of course, you try to imagine or picture the kind of business idea you have in your mind, and you put it into prospect. You put it into that commanding kind of situation. And I'm telling you, it is the same way that you should be doing when it comes to the business world. That is exactly what you should be knowing of at the end of the situation or at the end of the business day as you're kicking off your day. Imaginations will take you everywhere. Logic will take you from A to B. Then imagination will quickly take you everywhere. It is basically going to be taking you somewhere every single day. It will take you everywhere if you continue to imagine. So imagination will steadily take you everywhere if you're to look at that. Well, and besides that particular one, now we're heading into our business updates this morning. As our business updates here today, second update of the morning is taking us to the tourism sector. When I start conversations to do with Uganda's tourism, I will be so excited in most of the cases. Reason being, I've been able to at least tour some parts of the country, and I've worked with most of these particular domestic tour companies. Well, the excitement around tourism lately is the fact that they've apparently got to at least get entertainment and fuel it in Uganda's tourism sector. And with that same situation, you get to realize one or two things, that Uganda's tourism is basically rotating around the foreign best tourists, those who come into the country. And of course, that is because they do come in with lots of foreign exchange, looking through those who come in from the United States, those who come from Europe. The money that comes with the foreign tourists, of course, outweighs the domestic tourists. But of course, we continue to at least take back our journey to the 2 years of lockdown, where domestic tourists were the talk of town in regards to Uganda's tourism sector. They've shaped up Uganda's local tourism, and of course also shaping up tourism as well, at large, if I'm to put it in that way. But of course, there's some of these other issues regarding tourism, which also lead to how will the sector recover come 2023, how are the stakeholders benefiting from the same, but of course, how can we as individuals be part of it? When you look at the tourism sector across the East African Community region, Kenya's tourism sector is booming. Tanzania is also booming. Rwanda is, oh my goodness, is actually taking a different kind of step when it comes to tourism. So is Uganda. The journey to recovery is quite very optimistic, and it's a journey that is promising, if I'm to apparently say that. So with this particular update, we get more from Uganda's tourism sector. Let's get it.
Paul Mukumbia for having came with this initiative, to see how we can collaborate within Kenya Coast, Uganda and Kenya Coast. When the Ugandans were at the coast, they saw things, packages that they can develop, like the dolphins and the marine park, which they don't have it here. And for me, what I've seen at Pearl of Africa is an exciting package that I'm going to develop, having seen the gorillas and the chimpanzees that we don't have back in Kenya. And this is something that I've been always wanting to do, but since we did not have partners on this side, when we got those kind of inquiries, sometimes we used to turn them down and then tell the clients, maybe you can just find on your own how you can go to Uganda. But having seen what I have seen, I think we are going to collaborate with the tour operators in Uganda. They develop the itineraries for here, and we develop the itineraries for Kenya, and then we'll be able to sell, and I'm sure it will be an exciting package that we are going to work on when we sit down into business. Everything, the hospitality of the people, the nature itself. We don't have a lot of nature in Kenya like what we saw here. We don't have a lot of mountains, and I think at this time when we came, I think it was rain time. So everything was green. Then when it came to the real business, when we went to see the gorillas, going up the mountain, trekking and, walking with them for almost like 1 hour, it is something that I did not expect. I used to see this on TVs, on the documentaries, on Nat Geo, but it is not something that I thought I could do it myself. Yesterday we went to chimpanzees. It was also the same. We waited a little bit for them to come down, and we were able to walk with them and take a lot of photos, and it was very, very nice.
You got close?
Yes, I have very close pictures that I took at a very close range, both the gorillas and the chimpanzees. Yes.
How do you rate?
The facilities were quite okay. The ones I visited, I think I can rate them as, okay, there is one, the one we slept at the last 2 days. I think it is a high-end facility, and the hospitality was on another level. But even the other ones at the lodges at the parks were also excellent, having, their theme, nature, and, yeah, it was exciting. It was very interesting.
Talk to me about the food.
The food is great. I think when we go back, we have to do a lot of gymming because we overfed. The matokes were excellent, the meat was okay. Everything, the service was great. I can say you have very good hospitality. Yes, the famous sweet pineapple from Uganda. I was always looking for pineapples every time I was going for fruits, and yes, they are very sweet, and the bananas, they are very sweet as well. So the food is great.
From what you saw, you should go in more visitors going forward.
Yes, sure you have. I think that what you needed was an exposure, and the collaboration between the Uganda and Kenya coast is going to give you that exposure. The numbers will grow. Surely the numbers will grow. Because like on my part, I'm a tour operator and having an office in Netherlands, where is our source market. We are going to market Uganda, and we are going to market the wildlife in Uganda. And this will bring the numbers.
Because now, like you told me, perhaps maybe you didn't know about these things because they're not marketed very well. Some of the experiences that you have.
True.
What more?
They need to market their, they need to market Uganda. They need to speak out. They need to tell the world what Uganda has. And especially the countries that don't have the same packages as they have, they really need to go out and, speak it out, let people know what is there in Uganda and what people stand to gain when they come here. The wildlife, the gorillas and the chimpanzees, I think that is your most selling point. Because when it comes to like the big five, I know you have some, we have some in Kenya. So when you emphasize on the gorillas and you collaborate with the people like in Kenya and Tanzania, or the people where they don't have this kind of wildlife, you stand to gain a lot. Yes.
Well, two operators have been asked to work together. Of course, it's not like a competition. It should be just like sport. You're competing in the field, but it should be a health kind of competition. You're competing to have clients, but at the same time, you should be creating a room of unity to promote the tourism sector. The Kenyan-Uganda tourism clearly is the relation between the tourism sectors of all the East African community countries, not only Kenya and Uganda. How these particular countries can at least sustain the level of the numbers of tourists that keep on coming year in, year out. So the investment within the tourism sector says a lot, but of course the hospitality industry, which includes the hotels and of course the up-country lodges that are part of this entire journey, is part of the tourism sector. So this particular one plays a very pivotal role in attracting the numbers that flood into these countries. But well, besides that, it's 15 minutes past 8 in the morning, so the markets on the Zabu platform are officially open. So how about if you open up that particular account today? If you haven't opened, use your NIN *292# USSD code to open up an account. Use your NIN. In the next 24 hours, your investment journey will be ready to go. You will be ready to hit the world of investment. It is Zabu, which says my money, my future. Altex East Africa says do something new. Well, guys, the thing is with Zabu, the chances are very, very obvious, and the opportunities are quite many for you as an individual. So kickstart off your investment journey today with Zabu, which is a platform by Altex East Africa. Zabu says my money, my future. Altex East Africa says do something new. The markets on the Zabu platform open at 8:15 a.m. and close at 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. So they are now open and they are only fully closed during the weekends and on public holidays. So kickstart of your investment journey with Zabu, which is powered by Altex East Africa. Back to business outlet regarding Uganda's tourism sector and of course the tourism sector in East Africa. So as I was saying, the tour operators, because now the local companies are quite many, and many are still growing up, by the way, because registration with URSP, Uganda Tourism Board, for example, from the Ugandan perspective, is still ongoing. And of course, many are kicking off their investment journey with investing in the tourism tour operating company, or companies that actually take tourists all over to view this beautiful scenery. Others are actually tour guides themselves. So it is a sector that has got vast opportunities for those who can effectively position themselves well, if I'm to put it in that way. And the tourism sector in the East African community continues to recover from the shocks of the pandemic, following those particular limits of the movements that had been put in place by the COVID-19 lockdown measures or stringent COVID-19 measures to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. But well, besides that, let's head to another update this morning, and of which this update is taking us to those involved in the selling of agro-based equipment. These are people who deal in agrochemicals, those who are dealing equipment that is used, for example, the particular farming equipment like poles, hangers, of course, seeds, those who deal in the sale of seeds, others who actually who deal in the sale of manufactured artificial fertilizers. How is the industry for them? How are they finding out? How are they positioning themselves into the agricultural sector, which is a pivotal part of Uganda's economy? And it's something that, well, those within the sector have got their own shortcomings, and they have some of the things that are actually hitting them. But how is the business so far? It's 2023. How have they accepted the new year? How have they initiated the new year? And how do they intend to go through it? Where the customers are? How are they positioning themselves? And where do they get most of this particular imported agro-based equipment from? So let's get more of this particular one from this update.
Business, and majorly for us, we are dealing with the seeds, selling seeds, chemicals. Under chemicals, we talk of fertilizers and the insecticides and some fungicides also. Many people will be asking, they will be outside there asking, maybe they have a challenge. They are facing challenges in their businesses. Challenges are there and we all encounter them, but the only solution is just to look for the out, how you can handle that challenge. For us, like Faith Acro, we can talk of like prices changing. Many people complain about it, but it's not not us as Faith Acro to determine the challenges of the varieties which we sell. It is the situation, or I can say the weather, at times can force us, and we feel like we need to do some changes in the prices. We'll talk of like off-season also. Yeah, off-season also can make us like not receive the number of customers which we've been receiving in the season or when it is time for planting. Yeah, and again that season also, it will be like, let me say, the weather here in Uganda is doing is making many farmers not to participate themselves in farming, for the reason that most of the farmers we have here in Uganda have not put much effort in, like they have to do what we call watering or irrigation. So that challenge is a serious challenge, and it's affecting many farmers here in Uganda. Still on like the challenge of weather, I'll give an example like on the crop of watermelon. For the farmers of watermelon, majorly, if we talk, farmers are getting a challenge that during the December, let me say, because we receive much rain in that season, in that second season of the year. Our farmers get a challenge of like not having a good market for this watermelon because of much rain. So that one also affects them, and you find that someone do not achieve what he has planned for. Yeah, and again, something which I will say is that for the prices in seeds, it may remain constant for the reason that if you've costed a seed some 3 months back and it happens that you've ended in off-season, the season will not force the sellers of the seeds to reduce the price. Unlike on the produce. Produces are always up and down. The prices are not stable, which is not on the what? On the seeds. The seeds may remain constant for even a full year when we are still selling at the same price. But for the produce, the reason is with the produce, there's no way. There are some things which are perishable, whereby you cannot store them for a long time. That's why farmers end up suffering like that and end up selling something at the price which we've not expected. Yeah.
How is the price?
The prices also affects the demand of of the seed because of if a farmer enters in the field you've carried out let me say 5 acres expecting to get something great. You end up getting less money, and I feel like, let me not go back to the garden. Let me first rest a bit before the prices raise up. That's when I can go back for farming. So that one affects us, and we end up now also sitting at times during off-season or during the weather because of that.
Well, some investors consider Uganda's agricultural potential as the best investment decision across the region. So if you're to look at that, because it's one of the best among Africa, if you're there to look at the potential. But not only that, Uganda Bureau of Statistics released a report saying that 70% of the working population in the country is employed in the agricultural sector. Now, this goes to those who actually in the practical agriculture, goes back to those who add value. Of course, in these particular, let's say, those who add value to these agricultural products, the selling of edibles, there are those who actually sell fertilizers, there are those who actually manufacture other products of the entire agricultural produce. So those are some of those. And of course, with low temperature variability and of course fertile soils, and the country is very gifted if you look at that. And 80% of Uganda's land is arable, but only 35% is being cultivated. And in the financial year that we are currently in, agriculture, in the past financial year of 2021-2022, agriculture accounted to 24.1% of the GDP and 33% of the export earnings. That is for the agriculture products that were actually being exported out of the country. So, as I've partly said, Uganda Bureau of Statistics does project that 70% of the working population within the country is employed in the agricultural sector. Uganda produces a wide range of agricultural products, with coffee taking huge percentage. We have tea, sugar, we've got livestock, fish, edible oils, cotton, tobacco, plantain, corn, beans, name it. And of course, commercialization of the sector is impeded by farmers' limited use of fertilizer and quality seeds, of which it is actually still affecting us. And then there's also a lack of irrigation, modified irrigation, if I'm to put it in that way, in most of the areas. And of course, also insufficient storage facilities, still another hindrance to the kind of commercial agriculture or commercialization of the agricultural sector that we are apparently pushing for in the next few years to come. Well, that's it for the updates. But Smart Means Business does return immediately after the break with sports business and entertainment business with Baride Andrew. I'm Joram Paul Sonko. Good morning. Mwasuzamtia. Habari ya leo. Marabutse. I'll be right back.